Net zero. 2 words, 1 question. And a parliament that suddenly can't explain what it actually means. A simple definition is asked, and what comes back is hesitation, repetition, and political drift. Senator Hanson pushes for a clear answer. Penny Wong tries to define it, but doesn't land a clean explanation. Instead, she circles the phrase, leans on past discussions, and shifts into global targets, models, and long-term projections. And the more she explains, the less direct it becomes. Because when a basic question about meaning turns into policy frameworks, emissions targets, and economic forecasts, something in the room changes. This isn't just a debate anymore, it's a live moment where the simplest question exposes the biggest confusion in the system.
Words net zero are quite clear. I think we all understand what net emissions means. I am reminded of a time when I was Climate Minister, and I think Senator Fielding wanted an explanation, and I got in the Chief Scientist to try and take him through it, and we did get to a point where I thought, I don't actually know, and neither did she at that time, how to break it down any further, but I will have a think about that. I think it's a commonly understood objective, and it's an objective that, as the Senator knows, that is shared by those opposite, I thought. Maybe not. Well, obviously not Senator Canavan, I know that, but the coalition, I thought broadly, had agreed to net zero emissions by 2050. And
your policy.
Oh, well, maybe Senator Canavan is indicating a change in policy under the coalition, under Mr Dutton. Obviously, I think it's 84%. I could be wrong. Australia's exporters have export markets have already signed up to the same target. It was discussed at the G20. So there's broad global agreement about the need to.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Madam President. Just on relevance there, the question was clearly about the definition of a term. It's a very simple question, and now we're talking about what other countries are doing and signing up to. It's totally departing. It's got nothing to do with the original question.
Minister, did you wish to continue? Senator Wong, have you finished your first question, the answer? Senator Hanson, first supplementary.
Well, actually, I'm gobsmacked from the first answer. I don't know whether I should actually ask the second one. Now you got me. Now, all right. Well, then, how much will the government policy to reduce emissions by 43%, which you don't know what net zero is anyway, by 2030? I would really like to know how much it's going to cost the government by 2050, but I doubt I'm going to get an answer on the first one. But if you can answer my question, how much is it going to cost the Australian taxpayers for this reduce emissions by 43%?
Please resume your seat, Minister.
Well, thank you, President. Thank you to Senator Hanson for the question. And she may be aware that the Labor Party in opposition did model this 43% reduction by 2030 policy and issued the modelling transparently. And that modelling showed that the plan, which includes a 43% reduction, would in fact create 604,000 jobs, with 5 out of 6 new jobs to be created in the region, that it would spur $76 billion of investment, and it would deliver an 82% renewable energy by 2030. So I think what we have seen is power generating capacity exiting the energy generation system over the life of the government of those opposite. And that reduction in supply without new capacity coming on stream is central to why power prices
Thank you, Minister.
are doing
Your
what they are
time
doing.
has expired. Senator Hanson, second supplementary.
How is the government's plan to bring more than 1 million immigrants to Australia in the next 5 years consistent with efforts to reduce emissions?
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Minister.
I think, well, first, I'm not sure about the figure, but we have, as a result of the Jobs and Skills Summit, indicated 195,000 places, and that is as a consequence of the capacity constraints in the economy and the skills crisis that we we know from talking to business, and if you look at the data, exists. But the focus will be on permanent skill migration, and that will add to the capacity of the Australian economy. It's important to recall that one of the things that we all have to do, and Australia will have to do, is to ensure that the link between GDP and populations and emissions that they are delinked. And that we can continue to grow our economy in ways that don't continue to produce as many emissions. And the way we do that is by these sorts of investments in renewable energy that our plan will deliver.
Thank you, Minister. Your time has expired.
And just like that, the moment the question lands, the entire room shifts. Because Hanson doesn't complicate it. She doesn't twist it. She doesn't dress it up in policy language. She asks the one thing that cuts through all of it. What does net zero actually mean? In simple terms? And that's where things start to fall apart. Penny Wong doesn't answer like a minister with a clean definition ready to go. She hesitates. She circles. She repeats the phrase itself like it is the explanation. Net zero means net zero, she says, and immediately tries to expand, but the expansion doesn't really expand anything. There's no clear breakdown, no simple definition, no direct explanation a normal voter could walk away with and understand in one sentence. Instead, she starts drifting into memory. She recalls previous conversations. She mentions past ministers. She brings up scientists being asked to explain it before, and even then not being able to fully simplify it. And that's the moment the contradiction becomes obvious. If even experts had trouble simplifying it, what exactly is being sold to the public as simple and understood? Hanson doesn't even need to interrupt much. She lets the uncertainty sit there. She lets the hesitation speak for itself, and then the pressure shifts. Because instead of locking in a definition, the conversation starts moving sideways into politics, targets, emissions goals, and global agreements. Suddenly, it's not about explaining net zero anymore. It's about defending it. Senators interrupt. Points of order come in. The chair calls for relevance. The exchange becomes scattered, layered, almost fragmented. Like the original question is being pulled away from the center of the discussion. And that's when Hanson delivers her reaction. I'm gobsmacked. Not because of disagreement, but because the very first answer already raised more confusion than clarity. And then she goes further. She pivots to cost. If this policy is so structured, so defined, so clear, then what is it actually going to cost Australians? But again, instead of a direct number, the response shifts into modeling, projections, jobs created, investment figures, renewable energy percentages, big numbers, long-term forecasts, economic framing, but still no simple upfront answer to the original question. And that gap between what is asked and what is answered becomes the center of the entire exchange. Because by now, the debate is no longer about one definition, it's about whether the definition was ever meant to be simple in the first place. And as Hanson follows up again, like linking immigration, emissions, and economic policy together, the response expands even further. GDP, population, sustainability, long-term transition planning. Everything is connected, but nothing is clearly defined in one sentence. And that's what makes the moment stick. Because when a simple question about meaning turns into a multi-layered policy explanation, the audience is left to decide one thing for themselves. Was the answer too complex, or was the explanation never really simple to begin with?